Now I'm going to go walk across this area of no man's land, and I'm going to go towards the Falls Road. Now I'm here specifically to show something in the wake of what's just happened yesterday in Manchester. What a week we've had in our politics. It's the beginning of October in 2025. When you think that nothing can get any worse, we have the Labour Party conference. And in that Labour Party conference, we had the entire, or almost the entire cabinet of the Labour government literally stoking tensions, and in a way that would feed extremism, and in a way that would cause extremists to go out and do what it is that extremists do. We know that people, they hear what they want to hear. They disregard everything else. And we've seen in the past how that extremists can take people's words, those malicious, ill thought out words, which really could cause people to lose their lives. And do we ever expect them to come from our own government? Do we ever expect them to come from people that are in power to serve and to protect us all? Because let's make no mistake, and there's plenty of evidence of it, that people then take it upon themselves to go after the people that the government are maliciously labelling as things that they're not. And well, we've seen it in America across the pond. What happened to Charlie Kirk whenever a mainstream media, an establishment being the Democrats, the party of Joe Biden, whenever that we see that tensions are ratcheted up against what they see as their political opponents and the mob mentality that follows them, well, there are many within that mob which are extreme and who take it upon themselves to go out and, well, we've seen it, cause murder on our streets. So that's point number one as to why that I will remember this week, early October in 2025, until the day I die. Now, another thing which has really happened this week, and we've all seen it in the past few days in the media, it's where that this man, a man called, what's the irony here, Jihadi, he goes out and he decides to murder Jews on the most holy day in the Jewish calendar. So this was calculated, this was premeditated, and this was designed to cause a huge impact. On the very evening of that murder, we had free plasticine mob out on the streets all across the UK. On the day of that murder, on the most holy day in the Jewish calendar, we had extremists here in Northern Ireland blocking a motorway and getting away with it under the watchful eye of the police. Now, everyone has a right to protest, and I would literally stand over that right and protect that right, but do people have a right to impact upon others' rights whenever that they're blocking a motorway, stopping people from getting to necessary hospital appointments? And yet these extremists in Belfast, what they did was that they came out in the media yesterday morning on BBC Radio Ulster defending the very fact that they blocked the motorway. This is all wrong, and this just shows you the type of extremism that we have in our country, which is being fomented by the likes of the Labour government, by the likes of Sinn Féin here in Northern Ireland, by the swivel-eyed lunatics in a party called People Before Profit here in Northern Ireland, and which is championed by the likes of the Alliance Party, who couldn't literally say that this was wrong yesterday morning on BBC Radio Ulster. So we can clearly see who the extremists are. We can clearly see who that it is that's stoking tensions. We can clearly see who the irresponsible people are. Will these people ever be able to wash their hands off the very fact that they They stoke people into such a frenzy that extremists, they go out and they murder people. Terrorists supporting terrorists would be a very, very good title for what it is that I'm about to show you. These people paint their concerns that they are really worried about women and children in Gaza. Well, that couldn't be further from the truth, and I'm going to show you something that actually takes away all doubt of who these people actually support. And simply, it's terrorists supporting terrorists. And by extension, those that support the people that are stoking tensions into such a frenzy that people lose their lives, like just a few days ago in Manchester, well, they are guilty by association. They are guilty by not condemning. They are guilty. I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope that, well, you see for yourselves what it is that these people are actually supporting and fomenting and causing. Are we really going to repeat the things of the past, in where that ordinary citizens, ordinary people lose their lives? Now we see how that the mainstream media they fail to report things in a way that I would say that is balanced, and this can cause people to lose their lives in the future. We're here on the divide between what's known as the Shankill Road in Belfast and the Falls Road. Now, in the background here, you'll see on the Shankill Road side of what actually is a divide, and I'm going to be able to show you that very shortly. You'll see a picture here of the Battle of Britain, and on this side of the road they celebrate all things British. Now, as I walk round towards the divide line between the Shankill and the Falls, you'll see that there's a lot of commemoration to things that were happened on years gone by. The Battle of the Somme. It's a very, very windy day here in Belfast. You'll see here that there's pictures, really, I guess that people on this side of the divide, they support Israel's right to defend themselves against terrorism. I've just walked through the divide here, these divide gates, and if you look in the background, there's another set of gates down here, and this would be known as, I guess, some sort of no man's land. Now I'm going to go walk across this area of no man's land, and I'm going to go towards the Falls Road. Now I'm here specifically to show something in the wake of what's just happened yesterday in Manchester, and how that it is that, well, when we woke up this morning, when everyone woke up this morning, what you'll find is that, well, someone who took it upon himself to go along and to murder Jews in a brutal execution, a brutal form of murder. On this side of the fence, you'll see now to do with, say, hunger strikers, the Easter Rising. This is on the Catholic, Nationalist, Republican side of the fence. Now I'm just going to spin round, and I'm going to walk on down as I continue, where I want to go to a point on this road where I really capture what it is that this side of the fence actually stands for. So in the background here, you'll see the Socialist, sorry, this is the gimbal blowing around in the wind, but the Socialist Workers' Party, and you'll see here for workers' unity, and there's some active solidarity going on there in the little handshake that you'll see on that fence. Now, this next picture, what it really depicts is revolution. On this picture here, it says at the bottom in Irish, what's known as Tuck Fed Arla, Chucky Arla as it's commonly known as. And I believe in Irish that actually says our day will come. Now, as you'll see, it's showing you another so-called revolutionary and a child actually drinking from this man's flask and a gun. So there's some sort of solidarity between what's happening in conflict zones around the world and what's being depicted in these pictures. So really they're saying that they stand with Palestine. Now, this picture tells a tale in itself. There's the Palestinian hand reached out of prison bars, and on this side, right, you'll see the Republican hand coming out in clenched fist style. And it says here that really on the bottom, it talks about solidarity. Now, if you were to head on down that road behind me, and if you turn right and for a fair stretch, what you'll find is you'll find lots of pictures just like this. Now, right next to this is the hunger strikers, as you'll see here. Now, the hunger strikers, which refers to people which starved themselves to death. And well, look, we'll talk about that more. We're not really going to stay around here for too much longer. But really what I wanted to show is this picture here. And I believe that picture actually speaks for itself. Now, we're going to go around and take another video to include in what it is that we're doing. And in this video, I really want to show you what a divide line looks like, what a so-called peace wall looks like, and what happens whenever people get to the point whereby that they're divided against each other along political lines. And here in Northern Ireland, as a result of those divisions, many people lost their lives from the course of, well, the Troubles really started in earnest, and we show that in a documentary that we made. They call the documentary The Real History of the Troubles. I called it Irish State-Sponsored Terrorism because of what we found in the Irish National Archives. But the Trouble started on the 12th of August in 1969, and yeah, it lasted all the way through to, well, the so-called ceasefires were called in 1994. So there's quite a few years. But the Trouble went on. People were still losing their lives after that period. And in fact, the conflict, it still exists in the hearts and minds of the people who actually live here. Now we're back across again, back onto the Shankill side of this divide. And we're going to head round towards the Peace Wall, which is a huge big wall which separates the Shankill and the Falls. Now, some would say, if this is meant to be peace times, why not take that wall down? Why isn't there a reconciliation between people? Well, I believe that there was a point whenever there could have been reconciliation, but for extremists that want to keep things going, and, well, extremists that are keeping things going, and in a way that causes huge detriment to the efforts of other people to create real and verifiable reconciliation between the people of Northern Ireland. Now, I'm aiming to show that what's happening in England, what happened in England yesterday, what's happening in towns and cities all around the United Kingdom, with people coming out and supporting, well, they say they're supporting the people of Palestine. But what I've just shown you there is that there's pictures of solidarity between Hamas prisoners and the movement, the terrorist organization, the Republican movement, that was the Provisional IRA and which killed many people here in Northern Ireland in brutal ways, ways that you could never imagine. And why? All because that people on this side of the fence, they support this type of thing. You know, this isn't about one side or the other. This is really about what can happen whenever diametrically opposed sides become involved in fighting with each other. We're seeing it happening all over again. We're showing you now at another portion of this road where this peace wall exists between the Shankill Road and the Falls Road. Now here we are many years after the so-called peace process, beginning in 1994 with the so-called Good Friday Agreement that happened in 1998. And you know, all the way fast forward to 2025, and yet this peace wall with the metal fence and with the other fence on top of it, it's still there, not as a reminder, but as a physical barrier, really to stop people from fighting with each other. Now, today in 2025, as I showed round at the other portion of that road where you can cross through from the Shankill onto the falls, that there's another divide which is brewing. And it's really a case of that the people on the Shankill up this way and the people on the other side of this peace wall, well, they now support different things. And for the rights and wrongs of supporting those things, it causes division. So what I showed earlier was the very fact that the Provisional IRA, the Republicans, the Socialists, the Communists, the Reds, as other people would see them, well, they support Palestine as a state. They support, as I showed in that picture, solidarity between Palestinian Hamas prisoners and Provisional IRA and INLA and whoever it is that's down that way in terms of the terrorist organizations. They show in that picture an act of solidarity between the Hamas terrorists who would have went into Israel and they murdered Israelis simply for being Israeli. Now, in light of what's happened yesterday in Manchester, I'm really here to show what can happen in these type of divides whenever communities are set themselves against each other and who are diametrically opposed to each other. And you know what I really can't understand is why that the authorities, why that the British government, why that the mainstream media would be really doing things in a way which is creating more division as opposed to stopping the division, as opposed to setting out to ensure that there is laws put in place which really stops people from going against each other. You know, this isn't about one side or the other. This is really about what can happen whenever diametrically opposed sides become involved in fighting with each other. We're seeing it happening all over again. I remember I went to Auschwitz, the concentration camp in Krakow, and in the first place in the Auschwitz concentration camp, when I walked through, what actually happened was that I came across this sign, and on the sign that I seen, it actually used those very words: those that forget the past, those who forget the past, are condemned to repeat it. And are we really going to repeat the things of the past in where that ordinary citizens, ordinary people lose their lives Now we see how that the mainstream media they fail to report things in a way that I would say that is balanced, and this can cause people to lose their lives in the future, and that's really really sad because this is a reminder of what can happen. What happened yesterday in Manchester, whenever people become so diametrically opposed to each other that they take it upon themselves to go out and to cause murder of those which they politically and well ideologically oppose.
Echoes linger, they're drilled home. Can't kill the truth with a hollow drone. Hands will rise, clenched in fists. History's patterns, they won't be missed.